Part 1. The Old Lord Sends a Wayward Immortal to Earth. Dear listeners, today we bring you a wondrous tale from the world of Immortals, where a heavenly being is set down to awaken the hearts of mortals. And the star of this story? None other than the famous immortal Iron-Crutch Li. Back in the day, he got into quite a mess. You see, he let his treasured celestial ox slip away. That beast wasn't just any cow, it was a divine mount. When Taoist, the grand supreme elder lord, found out, he flew into a rage. His long beard bristled with fury. "Iron-Crutch," he thundered. "Negligence. You let the divine ox escape, down to the mortal world with you. Earn your redemption among the people." And so it was. Iron-Crutch Li had no choice. In a flash he transformed into a scruffy old beggar, ragged clothes hanging loose, a gleaming gourd slung across his back, and strolled into the bustling marketplace of Runnin City. What did he do there? He started a street stall selling medicine. No matter the illness, headaches, fevers, even strange and stubborn diseases, he had a cure that worked like magic. His remedies were more effective than the blessings of temple gods. He didn't talk much, just hung his shiny gourd high above his stall, like a signboard, and went about his business. But here's the strange part. Whenever the crowd thinned and the market emptied, the old man would vanish whoosh. Like smoke, he'd slip right into that hanging gourd. People nearby rubbed their eyes in disbelief. One moment he was there, the next gone without a trace. Folks whispered that he was no ordinary man. He came and went like a ghost, with a mysterious air that sent chills down your spine. Part 2. A mayor peeks into the mystery, and a gourd unfolds a hidden realm. Now, this strange affair didn't go unnoticed. One man happened to catch sight of it, and he was no ordinary bystander. He was none other than Mayor Fei Changfang of Runnin. That day, the mayor had taken a rare break from official duties. He stood on the balcony of his office, sipping tea and enjoying the view. Just as he lifted his eyes, he saw the old medicine seller packing up his stall. Then, in a blink, poof, the man disappeared like a magician. Fei blinked hard. The gourd hanging on the stall wobbled ever so slightly, like it had just swallowed something. The mayor's heart skipped a beat. That old man, he's no mortal, he muttered. Fei Changfang was a shrewd man. The next day he prepared fine wine and a table of delicious dishes. With utmost respect, he sought out the old man in the market. Bowing deeply, he said, "Great immortal, I am but a humble official named Fei Changfang. Yesterday I glimpsed your divine powers and was struck with awe. Please, honor me by sharing a drink." The old man chuckled. "You've got sharp eyes, kid. All right, I'll drink with you." He downed the wine in one gulp, wiped his mouth, and said, "Meet me here again tomorrow, same time." Mayor Fei was overjoyed. He knew he was about to step into something extraordinary. At the appointed hour the next day, Fei Changfang arrived eagerly. The old man said nothing, just grabbed his hand and whispered, "Close your eyes." Fei obeyed. A gust of wind rushed past his ears. His body felt light, and when he opened his eyes again, he gasped. Gone were the noisy streets of the market. Before him stood a celestial palace, adorned with gold and jade, its halls filled with divine music and the scent of immortal delicacies. Dishes of heavenly fruits, sparkling wines, and glowing jewels lined the tables. "Sit, drink, eat," the old man invited. The two feasted together, toasting and laughing like old friends. When the banquet ended, the old man led Fei back out, then gave him a serious look. Listen, what happened today only you and I, heaven and earth, can know. Not a word to anyone. Got it? Fei nodded like a drumbeat. Got it, sir. I swear on my life. Part 3. A hidden truth, a bamboo deception, and a vanishing act. A few days later, the mysterious old man showed up again, this time, right in Mayor Fei's office. With a solemn face, he spoke. Fei, I won't hide it from you. I am an immortal from the heavens, punished to live among mortals. Now my duty here is done, and it's time to return. But you have clear bones and a spiritual glow. You're destined for the path of immortality. Will you come with me and live a carefree life among the clouds? Fei Changfang was overjoyed like he'd just hit the heavenly lottery. But then he hesitated. He thought of his aging parents, his wife, his children, the warmth of family and home. He scratched his head, his face full of conflict. The old man saw right through him. With a knowing smile, he said, Tied down by mortal love, are you? Very well, I'll teach you a trick to ease your worries. He plucked a fresh green bamboo stick from the roadside, measured it against Fei's height, and cut it to match exactly. Take this, the old man said. Hang it from the beam behind your house. Fei didn't quite understand, but he did as he was told. Next thing you know, chaos erupted at home. His family found the bamboo hanging stiffly from the ceiling beam and thought he'd hanged himself. They wailed, screamed, and threw themselves to the ground in grief. They thought Mayor Fei had ended his life out of despair. They rushed to pull him down and prepare his body for burial. But the real Fei Changfang? He stood right there shouting, waving his arms, yet no one could see or hear him. It was like he'd become a ghost, watching his own funeral unfold. What a spell! That bamboo stick had turned into a perfect illusion of his body. The mortal world saw death, but in truth he was about to be reborn on a higher path. Part 4. A heart tested in the wilderness, a choice that changed everything. With his worldly attachments now buried, Fei Changfang took a deep breath and followed the old man deep into the wilderness. But the road was no peaceful walk. The forest was dark and wild, full of thorny bushes, jagged rocks, and the chilling growls of beasts echoing through the trees. Suddenly the old man disappeared, gone, without a trace, leaving Fei alone in what felt like a tiger's den. Though fear crawled through his veins, Fei gritted his teeth and stood firm. This is nothing, he thought. If I want to become immortal, I must endure this. Then came the next trial. The old man reappeared and led him to a rickety shack. Inside, hanging directly above Fei's head, was a massive boulder so huge it looked like it could crush an elephant. And what was holding it up? A fraying, rotten piece of rope. Even worse, hundreds of rats had appeared from nowhere, squeaking and scrambling up the walls, gnawing away at that fragile string. One snap and Fei would be a pancake on the floor. His legs shook, his heart raced, sweat poured down like rain. But still he didn't move. He clenched his fists and stared at the boulder, refusing to flinch. The old man reappeared, nodding with satisfaction. Good, courageous and determined. Your heart is strong. You've proven yourself worthy. But then came the final test. The old man brought out a foul-smelling, maggot-filled lump of filth, something so disgusting Even a dog might turn away. "Eat this," he said, "and you'll shed your mortal body and become a true immortal." Faye looked closely. Inside were 3 fat, white worms squirming in the sludge. The stench hit him like a brick to the nose. His stomach turned and his face turned green. "No, I can't," he cried, backing away, hand over his mouth. The old man sighed, deeply disappointed. "A shame, such a shame. You were so close. But this final step, this little piece of filth, you couldn't overcome it. Your heart still clings to disgust and pride. The mortal within you has not died. Your chance ends here." Part 5. The Immortals' Gifts and a Dragon from a Cane. Seeing Fei Changfang, pale-faced and retching from disgust, the old immortal knew this disciple could not be trained. Though disappointed, he remembered the man's perseverance and kind heart in earlier trials. With a sigh, the old man reached into his robe and pulled out 2 gifts. The first was an ordinary-looking, smooth bamboo cane, polished to a shine. "Your path to immortality ends here," the old man said. "But you've earned this, the soaring cane. Wherever you wish to go, just straddle it and think it, and whoosh, you're there. 1,000 times faster than any carriage. But remember this. Once you've arrived, throw the cane into the grassy banks of the Gepe River. Understand?" Fei nodded. Then came the second gift, a yellow talisman, covered in twisting symbols and divine script. "This is the talisman of spirit command. With it you can control spirits and ghosts, small or large, high or low. If you see a misbehaving demon, wave this charm, then give it a whack with the cane. No, you no longer have the cane, but the charm alone will do. It'll obey you like a trained dog." Though he hadn't become an immortal, Fei was thrilled. These gifts were magical, beyond anything he'd imagined. He bowed and thanked the old man 100 times over. Eager to return home, he mounted the cane and whispered, "Take me home." A fierce wind whooshed past his ears. The world spun like a painted scroll, rushing by in a blur. In what felt like the blink of an eye thud, his feet touched the ground. He looked up. He was standing right at his own front door. Remembering the instruction, he dashed to the banks of the Gepe River and hurled the bamboo cane into the weeds. Suddenly, crash! A thunderous splash erupted. The water exploded upward. Before his eyes, the bamboo cane transformed into a mighty azure dragon, scales gleaming, horns curled like crescents. The dragon thrashed in the water, then turned to Fei and nodded its enormous head. And then swish! It dove into the depths and vanished. Fei stood there, dumbfounded. What in the world did I just witness? Part 6. With the talisman in hand, a hero emerges. Fei returned home with the divine talisman tucked safely in his robe. But the moment his family saw him, they froze. You're supposed to be dead," they cried. "You hanged yourself. We buried you over 10 years ago." Fei burst into laughter. "That wasn't me. That was just a bamboo stick." They rushed to dig up the grave, and sure enough, inside the coffin lay nothing but a fresh green bamboo pole. Now everyone believed it. Fei Changfang had truly encountered an immortal. From then on, Fei was a changed man. With the talisman in hand, he became famous far and wide. Illness, a sip of charm-infused water, cured it. Hauntings? A flick of the talisman sent ghosts running. People called him Living Immortal Fey. Even more astounding, he could command spirits. Sometimes he'd slam a table and shout into the air, "You little ghost! How dare you steal the John family's chicken? Get back here!" Others nearby saw nothing, but Fay would say, "Ph. Just taught a naughty ghost a lesson." Once, during a banquet, he said he was craving fresh fish from the distant state of song. He whispered an incantation, sent a ghost courier, and before the third toast, a wriggling fish was served piping hot. Some even claimed to see him appear in different towns hundreds of miles apart on the same day. He'd become a true flying Taoist. Now Fei had a student named Huan Jing, who'd learned a few tricks of the trade. One day, Fei checked the stars and frowned. Bad omen. Huan Jing, on the 9th day of the 9th month, double 9th festival, your family will face great misfortune. You must act quickly. He gave clear instructions. Have everyone wear red sachets filled with dogwood berries. Bring chrysanthemum wine. Climb the highest mountain nearby, and don't come down until dark. Only then will you escape the disaster. Huan Jing trusted his master. When the day came, the whole family climbed the mountain, carrying wine and wearing the herbal charms. They spent a day admiring chrysanthemums and drinking under the sun. At dusk they returned home only to find the courtyard littered with bodies. The cattle, the chickens, the sheep, even the dogs all dead, foaming at the mouth. They'd narrowly escaped a deadly disaster. The whole family stood in shocked silence. Fei Changfang's prediction had been spot on. From that day on, people no longer just called him a healer or a mystic. They called him the man touched by immortals. In fact, the tradition of climbing high on the double 9th festival, wearing sachets of dogwood, and drinking chrysanthemum wine, it all began with this very story. But alas, no magic is foolproof forever. One day, in a moment of carelessness, Fei lost the precious talisman of spirit command. Gone, and with it, his power to control ghosts and spirits. You can imagine the consequences. All those demons, ghouls, and mischievous spirits he'd scolded, chased, and beaten into obedience for years, now they smelled blood. The moment they sensed the talisman was gone, they surged up from the shadows, eager for revenge. A mob of spirits surrounded him, and Fei Changfang, despite all his courage and skill, had no way to protect himself. In the end, he was overwhelmed, his mortal body torn apart by the very forces he once ruled. And so, dear listeners, let this be a lesson. No matter how great the treasure, it must be guarded well. Power can be granted, but just as easily lost. Part 7. A night watchman overhears the heavens and misses his moment in the flames. Let's leave Fei Changfang's tale for now and turn to another thread in this tapestry of wonder, our immortal friend, Iron-Crutch Li. After atoning for his mistake and returning to the celestial realm, Iron-Crutch Li resumed his carefree life in the heavens. He drifted through the clouds on his crane, strolled across Jade Islands, and rode waves of rainbow light through the skies. But old habits die hard. This immortal had one peculiar hobby. Every time he descended to the mortal world, he'd disguise himself as the most pitiful beggar imaginable. Torn rags, a filthy face, and his trademark an infected, rotting leg dragging behind him. One year in the southern provinces, a wealthy family was preparing a grand Taoist ritual to pray for peace and good fortune. Iron-Crutch Li showed up, of course, as a limping beggar, hunched by their kitchen stove, pretending to warm his hands by the fire. Now, here's where things get interesting. Next to the household stood a tall watchtower. At the top, 2 wooden clockwork children stood sentinel, holding time plates, silent guardians of the hours. One of them whispered, "Hey, brother, you know the beggar by the stove down there? Guess who that really is?" "Who?" "That's Iron-Crutch Li himself, the Immortal." "No way. I swear on my gears. He's hiding in plain sight." The 2 wooden figures, thinking no one could hear them, giggled and gossiped, spilling divine secrets. But unlucky for them, a night watchman patrolling below heard everything. The man froze, heart pounding. Iron-Crutch Li, right there, the real immortal, and I heard it with my own ears. This is the chance of a lifetime. The very next morning, the watchman dropped everything and ran straight to the wealthy household. He pushed through the crowd and spotted the same filthy beggar crouched by the kitchen fire. He fell to his knees. "Great Immortal, please take mercy on me. Teach me the way to immortality." Iron-Crutch Li looked up, squinting. "Oh, and how did you know who I am?" The watchman, breathless, told him the whole truth, how he overheard the wooden children gossiping in the tower. The immortal nodded slowly. "So you want to follow me?" "Yes, please take me." "Very well," said the beggar, and without another word, "Foosh!" he dove straight into the blazing mouth of the kitchen fire. What?" The watchman leapt backward, trembling. The fire roared with golden flames, crackling like thunder. He stared in horror. "If I jump in there, I'll be roasted alive, burned to ashes." His courage crumbled. He stood frozen, legs shaking, staring at the flames with wide, terrified eyes, and did nothing. By the time he gathered his breath, it was too late. The moment had passed, and the fire? Still burning. But the immortal was gone. The watchman slumped to the ground, clutching his chest. His one chance at immortality gone, burned up with the wood and smoke. Part 8. One more chance, 1 leaf boat, and 1 heavy heart. Ashamed and regretful, the night watchman dragged his feet down the village road, scolding himself with every step. Coward, coward. What were you afraid of? A little fire? Suddenly, ahead on the path, he saw the same beggar, still dragging that rotten foot, standing beneath a tree. "Immortal, wait," the watchman cried out. "Please, give me another chance." Iron-Crutch Li turned and sighed. "You mortals, always regretting too late. But fine, I'll give you 1 more path." He leaned close. "Go back to the tower, find a thick iron nail. Take it, and hammer both of those loose-tongued wooden children to the pillars. Nail them tight." The watchman blinked. "Nail them? They revealed heavenly secrets. That's forbidden. Nail them down. Then go to the stone bridge at the village gate and wait for me there. A boat will come to take you to the immortal." The watchman nodded frantically. "Yes, thank you, immortal. I won't let you down again." He ran back to the tower, grabbed 2 iron nails, and bang, 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 he nailed the wooden children tightly to the beams. "Ouch! Ow! What are you doing, you brute?" "We just said a few words." The wooden children screamed and cursed, calling down every insult they could think of. But the watchman ignored them. He dusted his hands and rushed to the stone bridge. There he waited, from morning dew to scorching noon, and all the way to dusk he stood on that bridge, staring at the river, heart pounding. Finally, a small boat drifted into view from upstream. It was so tiny it looked more like a leaf than a boat. It seemed like even a watermelon would sink it. The boat was empty. "Is this the boat?" he muttered, uneasy. Just then, Iron-Crutch Li appeared again, this time right behind him. "What are you waiting for?" the immortal said. "Get in." The watchman stared at the little boat. This thing won't even hold a goat, let alone a full-grown man. I weigh over 100 pounds. I'll sink it for sure." He hesitated, took a step back. Iron-Crutch Li shook his head sadly. A leaf boat can carry an immortal, but not a heart weighed down by fear. Your heart is too full of fear, doubt, attachment to your flesh. You have no room for faith, no room for release. So be it. You are not meant for the immortal path. He turned, stepped lightly onto the leaf boat, and something miraculous happened. The boat didn't sink. Instead, it burst into radiant light, rose from the water, and soared into the sky. Clouds parted. In the distance, a group of immortals appeared. Zhongli Quan with his great fan, Han Xiangzi playing his jade flute, He Xianggu with her lotus flower. The 8 immortals had gathered. They smiled and waved, guiding Iron-Crutch Li as his boat soared toward the heavens. On the bridge, the watchman fell to his knees, pounding the ground, wailing with regret. Epilogue. A lesson in the heart of immortality. And so, dear listeners, the story of how Iron-Crutch Li tested Fai Changfang and tried to enlighten the night watchman comes to an end. Fei was brave and clever, but could not overcome a single bit of filth. The night watchman stumbled upon divine fate itself, but let fear rob him twice. What does it show? That the road to immortality is not just paved with fate. It takes courage, wisdom, timing, and above all, a heart willing to let go. Just as the old saying goes, healing the world reveals divine form, but few can walk where spirits swarm. In tiger's den, with stone overhead, one thought of filth the path is dead. A talisman strong, a cane of might. Spirits obey, demons take flight. But when a leaf boat comes for thee, heavy hearts shall never be free. And with that, our tale ends here. Until next time, dear friends.